All right, so the confidence catalyst, okay. Today, I want us to focus on a few things. So, hi, welcome. If you're new, if you're not really familiar with our face or our brand or anything of that nature, okay, I run a little artsy type of energetic, type of flowing entity, okay. So, I like to call it putting the cute in client confidence or glow ticket topics, which means that we have conversations that truly matter, not necessarily just because somebody thinks it's appropriate. Okay. So that's the point. So like, follow, subscribe, and you can find us on our website if you like. That's www.payhip.com/authentic glow coaching. And today I want to talk about being sexy and educated. So being sexy and educated is different. Okay, it's a little more leverage. It's a little less being able to get played with and treated any kind of type of old way because of the simple fact that you took that time out to put the years in, to walk across the stages and really feel as though you put so much time and effort into something that by doing those things, you just are immediately set apart. And that means that people can say that you're sexy, and that's fine, and just totally go that route. But as soon as they get that little whiff of feel like, oh wow, this person's also rather highly educated, that gives you a little bit more of a level footing than just being sexy alone. Because that way you can see the issues as they arise before they arise. Our brand space's owner's father likes to say that you can see your enemies from a mile away, and that ability to have that background in a certain type of educated spirit kind of allows you that privilege. And sometimes we kind of sort of will either take those things for granted, our educational systems, because I get it, we come from the slavery and the busing and just the straight up like racist and segregated areas and eras in that time frame. Is that something that I feel is easily forgotten? No. Do I think that it's okay to just forget? No. Is it a reason behind feeling like, it's okay to forget? No. And if we choose to believe the lies that, yeah, it is, and it's so black and historically prominent that these things have really happened and taken place and caused us to want to battle and holds and Rosa Parks stages, sit-ins and boycotts. And we know for a fact that these issues are extremely scarring and painful and hurtful and traumatizing and completely just eradicating of one's identity and history and the way that they think and that they feel about all of the issues that had taken place. And that's why sometimes it's so painful to often as you see the black on black crime. Like, how can that even be a thing? Okay, white on white crime, okay, fine, whatever. But we come from the same type of energetic space that's different from the white story. So how in the world can we actually think that it's okay? How can we actually say it's okay? How are we really going to look at one another in the face and think that that's okay? I just totally don't understand that logic. And as we kind of sort of go into, we just got out of Black History Month. It was just February. We're coming around again another year. Then we got Juneteenth. I've never even celebrated Juneteenth, and I'm a Black female. I've never even thought about having any kind of Juneteenth. And then it's like Juneteenth this, Juneteenth that. The Blacks weren't even free until Juneteenth. It's this whole big thing. We don't want to do the 4th of July. F the 4th of the month before July. Like, we don't want to do that with it anymore. We Black. We BK. We Brooklyn. Like it's like whatever, bro. It's like we are adamant about just putting on for the masses because that's what we think is appropriate. But at the end of the day, I've never celebrated Juneteenth a day of my life. Did that change my history? No. Does that change the fact that I'm still an African American female? No. Does it really make any more differences between you and me just because of the fact that there's a new date now from Juneteenth and I'm supposed to just swap everything that I've known just to go into Juneteenth? No, it's the 4th of July. That's what it is. We just got Juneteenth because of Biden, and that's what it is. But that slavery period is a point of why can I have not known it then? Why is it a point for us to want to go ahead on and feel like, oh, okay, now let's just celebrate? No, we ain't been celebrating it. So if we've been celebrating the 4th of July at the end of the day. Now, we changing like shits and shadows again. So now I'm supposed to just forget about that, go into this and say F that and only do this one. Y'all ain't that cool to me. Y'all ain't been that nice to me. Y'all ain't been all of that uppity up unto me. If anybody else has been an Italian lady, did you ever celebrate Juneteenth? So I'm not gonna feel bad for feeling like somebody that's been wrong to me wants me to celebrate a date that we so connected into. That don't make no sense. So no, it's like I'm following the crowds. And then y'all got jacked up in that Juneteenth parade. I saw that. I heard about that. I heard somebody got killed, got hurt. They just simply had another little rally or some kind of celebratory, whatever. Same thing we do on the 4th of July. It's the same thing they doing on Juneteenth. It's just for a blacker crowd. That's all. And then all of a sudden, y'all done plow straight through and just took his hands off, basically. So no, we not about to be feeling like I'm guilty morally and for my intelligence of feeling as though I still prefer the 4th of July over the Juneteenth big old hoopra, hoopra. Like, no, I'm not about to do that to myself. I'm not about to subject myself and shrink down to fit that mold of what Juneteenth is supposed to be all about because I'm an African rooted young lady. I'm not, I don't feel like that's paying true homage to where I come from. So, and if it's a mutual type of thing for feeling like, you did this or I did that, and but you did, and you may have felt like that too. So if that's the case and you have tolerance of what I actually was, even though my roots are from there, then cool, I can feel the same way. But if you gonna be like, man, you from here and that's all you ever celebrated, bro, man, you ain't from the motherland. Like, you're gonna have to kind of sort of go ahead on and take that same energy. Now, that's the same thing. It's like, yo, you a sellout. Okay, well, you did this. I heard it took one to know one. So, and then that's the way that the energy goes head on. Now, why is it so difficult for people to understand that? I'll never really know and understand that. So, messing with all that glass. But nonetheless, people can always say that you this or you that, especially as a female. So this is definitely going to be maybe the next 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Like the next 15 or so episodes are definitely are geared towards women. Like I just want that out now. I'm not trying to be sugarcoating nothing about how sexualized girls are. I mean, I just saw the True Religion ad with Megan Thee Stallion. Ass for days. You know what I mean? Like I just saw Cardi B's other type of what was she performing or something now, and it was in the red. I want to say just ass for days. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it. You know what I mean? But you're divorced. You know what I mean? Megan Thee Stallion, I heard, is having some real problems. I guess dealing with her mother's death. Like, I think she might be younger than me. I almost want to say a little bit. I'm 36. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine not having a mom. Like what female is going to go out there shaking her ass and being kind of sort of, a little bit more sexualized? And I had her mother. Now, I'm not saying, moms is the end all be all, but at the end of the day, it's definitely a standard or some type of like, this or that set in place based off that parental guidance, and that's lacking. Clearly, that's not there. So there's that, you know what I mean? So therefore, it's less about having a protective spirit and more so about sexualized entities. It's the only thing that's keeping you high and popping. So, one is gone in place of the other. Now, at the end of the day, that's just what it is. So, is it disappointing? Yeah, maybe. Is it a bit much for emotions and things like that? Yeah, yeah, that's true. That is very true to the extent that it is a bit much. Yeah. And so that's why you have to really take that time out to educate not just you, but the things that you feel as though is going to put you on. You don't need to necessarily feel like you have to go outside of that. If you are an educated female in person and you have that guidance that you need to seek it from somewhere and necessarily feel as though it's okay to go there without feeling like you have to think down upon anybody else in order to feel as though that's the only way that you can make it. Because once you start to do that, you begin to just feel like the only thing that you have to offer is sex, and that becomes one of the reasons behind why you may start to feel so only hot and popping because of the ability that's placed in your mindset and your thinking that is your selling point is solely based off being sexualized. Now, when you are educated and you can kind of sort of branch into other aspects, that is probably, I mean, I get sex is like one of the biggest things in our physical plane. I get that. But you can use that in other areas that's kind of sort of less spotlighty on the physical of that type of spaces, because I mean sex can build not just businesses or like high profiting sales, but also such things as libraries. You know how many books there are that kids don't need and they just go by the wayside? You know how many people love books and would love to have them? So you can place more of that energetic positivity into things of that certain nature instead of resorting to like ass clapping on a main stage. It's just a little different. That's all. I'm not trying to play Cardi B or nobody else, but I really believe some of y'all feel me though. I have heard some of y'all back me up in some of the thoughts that I've been hearing going around, floating around the little webverse. So I definitely will say that as well. So I get that, you know, and being educated also means that you kind of sort of have to really guard. Not even just like your physical body, because clearly we see that, you know what I mean, with Cardi B, with the butt and the, you know, breast enhancement, things like that. When that specific profession is your first runner up for the things that you do to make that kind of sort of solidified, you know, it's kind of feeling as though that's the thing that they attack first instead of kind of sort of feeling like, you know, that's that is one thing that you kind of sort of have to be like on guard about, like your the physical peace is very, 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 very first and foremost, like a front runner. That's why it's such a temple. When I really feel like I got the logs and calories now, you know, I don't feel like it, you know what I mean? Mind you, you know, but I've been trying my best to keep up with as many calorie intake as possible, as well as the closing of the rings. And I mean, you know, I have yet to go under the knife. The major knives that I've been under so far is just teeth cosmetics and things like that for wisdom teeth. I don't think I ever had any other knife surgeries before in my life. I mean, I had a root canal, you know what I mean, over here. I don't know if that counts. It's probably cutting something up there or whatever else. But I mean something like under the knife to like, you know, enhance and all of these things. Like I'm very grateful for that temple, for that energy. And that feels kind of sort of like what we resorted to in order to, I don't know if it's scaling quarters one to two to feel like, you know, you matter or you're important or you're seen. And it's sad because we see that now is such a waste. We see how many times that these girls regret those decisions. Even I guess Lotto, you know, whoever did the butt or whatever. Some people was going back and forth showing something, and that's interesting to see now as well. Now, you know, if this is the same female, of course, maybe I'm wrong. If so, y'all are welcome to eradicate what you need to in the comments. I appreciate that. Thank you. And now is getting ready to have another baby. I haven't heard anything about it. You know, she's dating anybody. I didn't see anything. You know, usually the girlies are posting and kind of like, you know, have their mid on their little platforms and whatnot, so people normally know who's who and necessarily, so to speak, what is going on and takes place. So that's a good sign. But I'm not sure. I don't know if I just don't follow Lotto or something like that as well. Maybe that's one of the reasons why. You know, that might be possible. I don't know if they just, you know, kind of jumped the gun a little. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? The guy does seem much older, but maybe that's a preference still for this day and age for some of the girls that are here. Anyway, I guess I'm gonna just go ahead on and just sever.